Hey y'all, I want to share with you my top 10 favorite things I love about homeschooling. Maybe this will help you if you're trying to decide whether homeschooling is right for you and your family, or maybe you're in a slump with your homeschooling and you just need a reminder of all the good things that there are with homeschooling. Sometimes you start wondering the pros versus the cons if you're doing the right thing. So I'm here to give you 10 pros for your pros and cons list if you're contemplating whether or not you should or if you should continue homeschooling. We are a homeschool family of 5. My husband and I have been married for almost 19 years. We have 3 children, 16-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 4-year-old. This year we have a pre-K, 6th grader, and an 11th grader. We will have our first senior. We will be graduating our first child next school year in the 26-27 school year. We've been doing this for I don't even know how many years. Our oldest daughter, we homeschooled her for kindergarten and first grade, and then she went to a Christian school. And when my second daughter started, that was the school year of 2019-2020. She was in kindergarten. Well, no, she did preschool, and then her kindergarten year was the 2019-2020. They all came home early in 2020, and we just never went back. We decided that homeschooling would be better, and we have been continuously now since 2020, plus those 2 years earlier that we had done that. That would have been around 2014, 2015, but consecutively now several years. And we are kind of getting the hang of it. It took a little bit to get a good groove, figure out what works for each kid, because each kid is different. Every year it has always been an option for our kids to go back to the Christian school that we pulled them out from at that 2020 time. So it's never been a hard set, we have to continue homeschooling, but it has just always worked out. That's what we want to do. That's what works for our kids. And I'm going to share with you the 10 things that I love about it. First off is that we get to set our own schedule. We do not have to go by the public school schedule or anybody in our county or anything like that. The North Carolina rule for public schooling is that you have to have a reasonable number of days in the calendar year, or in the 9 calendar months of the year, or 10 calendar months. I'll put it 9 or 10. I haven't looked at that in so long, I can't remember. We pretty much do like year round now. We don't take a whole lot of a summer break, a few weeks, and then we just go pretty much kind of year round, take off days when we need to. But like I say, we can set our own schedule, and I love it. If we want to take a day off, we take a day off. If we want to do school in the evening, or we have to do something on a weekend, which very rarely ever happens, we can. We don't have to answer to anybody about what days we do our school, as long as we get the work done and we do schoolwork reasonable amount of time in the according to what the law is for the homeschool in North Carolina. You do not have to do schoolwork for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 36 weeks out of the year. It can be done in less time than that, for sure. Absolutely can be. If you want to fill up all your time and do that much and spend that much time on school, that is great, but that's not what we do, and we don't have to. We get our work done in the time that we allot, which is a few hours a day, and we do it when we can. Not that we don't do school, it's just like I said, we spread it out. So I do aim, if you've watched my curriculum flip throughs, we do aim to get about 180 days in our school year. It's just our school year looks different from year to year, depending on what we've got going on and what we take days off for. The second thing that I love is that we can do our appointments, doctor's appointments, whenever we choose. We don't need the doctor's notes. We always get done with an appointment and they say, "Oh, do you need a school note?" No, thank you. we don't explain. Some people are confused that we don't need a school note when it's the middle of the week, middle of the day during the school year, and we don't need a school note. I think a lot of places are getting more used to the fact that there's a lot of homeschoolers around in North Carolina now, because that number has gone up so much in recent years. But yeah, we don't need school notes or we don't need doctor notes, school notes, or anything to be excused when we have a doctor appointment. My kids don't miss their schoolwork when we do have doctor's appointments for them. Dentist appointments, doctor appointments, orthodontist appointments, eye doctor appointments, all the appointments that your kids have to miss school for. Don't have to worry about signing them in and out. Don't have to worry about them missing some major thing that they needed to be in class for. Now, when it comes to my appointments, my husband's appointments, that can get a little bit tricky when you've got small kids, and we have definitely been through that. I had like prenatal appointments when my 2 daughters were too young to stay at home by themselves, so we had to arrange for somebody to come and watch them while I went to appointments, when my husband was going with me to appointments. If we have, for some reason, my husband and I have to go to any appointments, together, sometimes we'll take our younger son with us. He does come to some appointments, depending on what the type of doctor and situation is. He will come with us, and now my two are old enough to be at home by themselves for a little bit, so they can do that. But definitely feel for you. The homeschooling and not being able to do, like, run errands and things can be a little bit tricky, but the pros outweigh the cons on that one. We can do our appointments whenever we need to. Don't have to worry about pulling them out or missing anything. Reason number 3, we can do homeschool anywhere, anytime. Our school does not have to be set in our schoolroom at home, which we don't have. If you've followed me, you know I don't have a schoolroom. We don't have to do school at a certain time every day. My kids do well when they can stay on their schedule and do their schoolwork in their designated spots that they have picked to do their schoolwork. When they get out of their normal, just like with anybody, you get out of your normal routine, it messes you up. But we can pick up our books and we can go, and they can do it whenever, wherever. If they want to come to work with me, they can, and they'll bring their schoolwork with them to work. They just pack up whatever books they need for the day and they bring it with them. If we want to, sleep in and do the schoolwork in the afternoon, they can do that. If I need them to do some stuff around the house, normally they do their schoolwork in the morning. Well, one of my girls normally does their schoolwork in the morning and the other does in the afternoon, because that's what works for her. If we need to switch that up, we can switch it up. If they got to do it later in the day, they can do it later in the day. If they want to bring their stuff with them, we got some kind of appointment that we got to go to, we're going to be sitting and waiting for a long time, they can bring some schoolwork with them and work on it while they're in the car or in a waiting room or something like that. Anytime, anywhere, school can be done. Reason number 4, we get to pick the curriculum. I don't have to worry about what my kids are sitting and listening to day in and day out. I don't have to worry about if I agree with what they're being taught, or if they're being taught something that is just totally against what we believe. I've got curriculum sitting right here that I've bought. I get to look over the curriculum. I get to see it beforehand. I read the books. I read about the company. I know where I'm getting the curriculum from, and I know what they're being taught. And that is just one less worry on my mind. I don't have to worry about if the teacher is giving them busy work and it's something that's going to be just driving my kids crazy for no reason. Don't have to worry about that, because I get to pick the curriculum. I get to choose what they're learning. And not just that I get to pick the curriculum. My kids can pick the subjects that they're taking. Science is one that we let the kids choose quite a bit. Other than the high school credits that I want them to take specific classes and get their credits with, I kind of let them choose. My high schooler did astronomy for one of her, I think it was 10th grade, maybe 11th grade. And same thing with my younger daughter. I let her kind of pick what she wants to do. This year she wanted to learn more about animals, so we have went with life science. She's going to do plants and animals, and a little bit of earth science I believe is in there, but a little bit more geared toward what she was interested in. She was interested in ocean life for 1 year, so we did ocean animals. And you can go back and look at all of our curriculum reveals and flip throughs and see all those. But they get to choose. They get to tell me what they're interested in, and I can steer more towards the thing that they're interested in for those subjects. Same thing with history. I can, do you want to learn about a specific country or a specific time period? And we can study on that. So we get to pick the curriculum. Reason number 5, and this one has been with having a teenager, and now I have an 11-year-old, a tween, a pre-teen. I can see behavioral changes. My oldest daughter, I definitely have to pay attention to the cues that I get from her on her behavioral changes and the things that she needs. And the fact that we get to see them, myself or my husband, is, not that we're all in the same room, same house, under the same roof, all together all the time. But we don't send our kids off for 8 or 9 hours a day and not see them during the day, see their emotions, see the way that, the subtle changes. If you have seen my videos before, you know that my oldest daughter was diagnosed level 1 autism. You have to be around her for a while to realize that there's just some quirks, some things that she does differently. And we've had to learn to read her the subtle changes that she has in her moods or her behavior, and we kind of figure out when things are just not clicking, when when she's having an off day or an off week, and we know when social activities need to be pulled back, or when she needs to get a little bit more, she needs more social activity. It's just subtle things that we have learned to read with her. And now that I've got another, a preteen, tween coming up, it's the same thing. I am just so glad that I get to have the time with them to be able to read their emotions. And this I made this two different things. So number 6 would be that, or on this same idea, I get to keep them at home with me, but number 6 is that I don't have to send them off to strangers every day. I don't have to send them off to sit in a classroom of 15, 20 people with teachers that don't, I know there's good teachers and they want to get to know their kids, but when you're in a classroom of 15, 20 people, you're not going to know each child on a personal level. And I know there's programs for special needs and all that they can get into, but for my mama heart to have to send one of my kids off to a classroom of pretty much strangers, even though, they'd be friends or teachers or whatever, when I know they're having a hard time and maybe I just haven't pinpointed what is going on with them, I'm just glad that I don't have to send them off to a classroom where they're going to be gone for 8-9 hours a day, and they come back and I don't know what's going on in that classroom, if whatever's happening is going to make what's going on with them mentally and emotionally worse or better. I don't have to guess at that. I don't have to pray that they, have a good day that day in class and that nobody is mean to them. I get, they get that with their siblings. But I'm just so glad that we are able to keep them here, and see, there's the mental health is just such a big deal, and we are able to keep a check on that. I think a lot better than if we were sending them off to a classroom every day. So I'm glad that we get to keep them here, and I'm glad that we don't have to send them off. So it's kind of a twofold thing there. So switching gears a little bit, number 7 is that our kids have more time for real world experience. Homeschoolers get the bad rap for no social life. They're not going to have any real life skills, and how are they going to learn to deal with people and real life scenarios? Like, my kids get a lot of real life scenarios. They get to do day-to-day things with me. My kids will come to work with me. We get to go out and do run errands. They get to watch me go into banks or, the DMV or the tag office. They listen to phone calls that I make during the day. Opportunities just come up. How I'm, trying to think of things. When you have your kids with you and you have to do things that you normally would think, well, the kids are at school, so I'm gonna go get this thing done. When your kids are homeschooled, they're with you. So you go get these things done, and they're with you, and they see you getting things done, and they get to have a part in that interaction. Appointments, bill paying, meeting different people, seeing new things. They're there with you, and that's just part of their life that they wouldn't get if they were off at school. And on that same thing, number 8 is that my kids have more time for things that they want to do. If there's an event going on somewhere around here and it's during the day and I want to take my kids to do that, we can do that. We don't have to wait for a weekend or something like that. If I want to take off on a Tuesday and me and one of my daughters go to the mall, go shopping or something, we can do that. Not just necessarily educational things that they get to do, but just day-to-day life. I don't have to wait on the weekends for something. I can do something with my kids on a Monday through Friday, which is one of the things that I do love about homeschooling. We get to do things during the day when a lot of kids are in school, so things are not as crowded, because none of us are real big people persons. So we love going places that are not crowded. So going on a 10 o'clock or going in the middle of the day on a Tuesday during the school year to a place that would normally be jam-packed on a Saturday, that's our kind of thing. So I'm glad that I get to take my kids to do things that they're interested in. We get to go have fun and do things as a family during the week when it's not super crazy crowded. And then not just going out and doing things, but kind of on the line of them getting to pick their curriculum. We can stop and do things that they are interested in. We can have time to stop, and if they get into a certain part of a curriculum that they're really interested in, we can just stop and do extra stuff with that. The whole family can get involved and do something like that. We can If they're like doing the astronomy, when my daughter was doing the astronomy class, I think in that same year we went to a local planetarium. Just random, they were having, I think it was a homeschool day, but we picked up the whole family, went to the planetarium. So we get to do, again, not just educational things, but personal things. If my kids are interested in something and there's something that we can do, even if it's just something at home, a movie marathon of something that they want to watch or see, I try to keep stuff like that, geared toward their education. So like a movie marathon about something that they're studying. But, we can just pick up and everybody go watch a couple of movies one day if we want to. And along that same lines, my number 9 is that we can focus on their interests in school. We can do those extra things, not just the personal things, but like I said, the educational things. If they are studying something, we can go all out. Go to the library, get books and movies and rent things about the thing that they're interested in. I can get extra stuff for them to study about the thing that they're interested in. My middle child, my 11-year-old, is getting really interested in sewing, so I'm going to put that as one of her classes for next school year. She's already started on it now. In this room right here, backside of the camera, I've got a table set up with the sewing machine. It was my sewing machine that I had when I was a teenager. It still works, but she's going to be, I've got her, even got her a book, so we're going to do like a class, a sewing class. And that's going to count as one of her school classes. Something that she's super interested in, and she's going to get to do that. And number 10, and this one gets me during the winter, when everybody is scrambling because school is canceled. Number 10 is that not only do we get to set our own school schedule, we can do it when we want to, like snow days don't affect us, but my work schedule is not affected by school. When there's an early release day and parents are having to scramble, I don't have to worry about that. If there's a holiday happening and we want to do vacation at a certain time and it doesn't match up with it, it wouldn't have matched up with the school calendar, doesn't matter. My work is not going to be affected. I can schedule school around my work. If I've got a certain week that I have to be, I definitely need to have more hours that week, I can't take days off, then we don't schedule school stuff for that time. If I know that I've got certain days of the week that is better for me to take off to do school things, which for me is Fridays, those are my better days to take off. My job is very lenient, so Fridays for me to take off, like today, we did not do school today, I did not go to work today, this is a Friday. We went to our local county airport. It's a small airport, but we had a homeschool field trip day with a group from our church. I think there was like maybe 15 kids, and we went to the local airport and had a really cool field trip today, and then went to a park. So I can't, we schedule that as a group, and that group knows that Fridays work best for me. We don't always get Fridays, but again, my work is not affected by a mandatory school schedule, and that I love that so much. I feel for the parents when there's a snow day, and I follow the local school on my Facebook, so I see when they're announcing snow days, remote work days, or remote learning days, e-learning days, and things like that, and the comments are full of parents, I need y'all to make a decision sooner than this, or why'd you wait so long to make this decision, now I can't go to work, or who's going to watch my kids, and I feel for that situation, I really do, but I am not in that situation right now. We don't have to worry about that. My work is not affected by our school unless I want it to be. Like today, I took off so we could do this field trip. So I could do a list of pros and cons. I think I have done a pros and cons video. Not everything is on the pro list. There are some cons just with just about any situation you could think of. But again, the pros outweigh the cons by far when it comes to homeschooling. So I hope this helped if you are on the fence about homeschooling, or if you are struggling with the fact that you are homeschooling and maybe considering not homeschooling. And everybody's situation is different. Your work situation is different. Your kids are different. Everybody has different needs. So homeschooling may not be for you. I hope that it is, because I think it is well worth it. And again, I hope you got something really good out of this video and that it was helpful for you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.